Hello, everyone, and welcome in to an all-new edition of the Sports Stove Football Show. We are sure glad that you are joining us today. You can find us live on the Sports Stove YouTube channel, the Sports Stove Facebook page. Those will be streaming live, and you can, of course, follow us on socials at Sports Stove. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Today's episode is presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code STOVE15. That's STOVE15 for a 15% off discount at checkout. All right, today we've got a huge lineup for you. We are talking NFL Week 18 picks. We've got the college football playoffs to talk about. The portal has officially opened, so mass chaos ensues. And there's some coaches on the hot seat in the NFL as well. We may discuss here at the end also. So I'm Vince Stover, by the way, joined as I am every week by my dad, Dale Stover. Dad, how you doing?
Doing good here in the winter up in Ohio, and football playoff time. So a lot of good excitement and a lot of sports stuff in general going on. So it's good.
Yes, indeed. So typically we go live on Thursday nights. Today, of course, is Friday, with some changes that are being made. I don't know when we'll be live next week, but we'll figure it all out. We'll keep it up there, updated on all of that stuff as well. Of course, on our YouTube channel, we have loads of draft content for you over there. So if you're an off-season nerd, you love the NFL draft, make sure you check out all the videos over on the Sports Stove YouTube channel for that. And if you prefer audio versions, you can always listen to us on the Sports Stove Football Show podcast. Has all of our episodes available over there as well. All right, Dad, let's talk Week 18 of the NFL. The NFL comes down to this, and while there are many players who will not be playing this week, teams that have nothing to play for this week, there are yet still games that matter and matter immensely as well. So we will pick our 6 games this week. Typically, we do the primetime games. This week, what we're doing is the games that matter, plus 2 more games that maybe don't matter as much, but they matter in their own right as well. So let's start things off with Carolina at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is the favorite in this game, 2.5 points at home. A really intriguing matchup because Carolina wins, they're in. They win the division with a win over Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has to win, and they need the Falcons to lose to the Saints in order for them to get in to the playoffs and win the division, win the tiebreakers, all that kind of stuff. But they're the game on Saturday that you start off with and you say, okay, step 1 is win the football game. So, Dad, I'm intrigued. Carolina, Tampa, they played at Carolina just a couple weeks ago. Carolina got the win at home. Now they travel to Tampa. How do you feel this game is going to shake out between Carolina and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, this will be, this has been interesting to see who would want to win this division. And definitely changed from early in the year when it looked like Tampa was one of the premier teams, in the whole NFC. But I think just looking at the way everybody's been playing, I'll pick Carolina. I think Carolina can win this and control everything, their own destiny there. It's interesting, exciting, a team like Carolina to win their division and get in the playoffs. So I'll go with Carolina, but the way both these teams have been playing, you just don't know.
That's exactly right. I mean, you get here and you realize that, this team, let's look at both of them, right? Carolina, they've had their moments, their ups for sure. Huge improvement over last year. But last week against Seattle, they could not figure it out on offense. And Seattle's got a good defense, so you got to play that in a little bit. 2 weeks ago when they played Tampa, they were able to do enough to win that football game. Then you go to Tampa, and you said it, Dad. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield was the MVP not that long ago, just about half a season ago. And now you see the comment there from Kevin Wilson, Tampa can't be trusted. And you sit there and you go, okay, but they have gotten healthier over the last couple of weeks. They have so much on the line. I love Baker Mayfield. I take Baker over Bryce Young, but that's kind of where I end this week. I'm going to go Carolina also. I think this is just kind of one of those things where Seattle's just destined for the playoffs here. And so I'm going to pick, Carolina. So I'm going to pick Carolina to win this game again and make the playoffs this week as well. But you're right, Dad. We have no idea what's going to happen. How will Tampa play? How will Carolina play? If it's their best football on both sides, it's going to be a great game. If not, then we're just going to say, well, at least one of them gets to play for one more week when it's all said and done. All right, that brings us to the other Saturday game, Seattle at San Francisco. The teams that have not played since week one, they've changed drastically over the time. Seattle's defense has really led the way. Sam Darnold has been okay, not great. There's been other issues with Seattle's offense. San Francisco, their offense has been just finding their way right now, but their defense had some issues last week against Chicago. So the question is can Seattle contain San Francisco? And can San Francisco score enough points to beat Seattle? Seattle, the 1.5 point favorite on the road this week. Dad, are you going Seattle or San Francisco this week?
Well, this is by far going to be, maybe the best game to watch of the weekend. Two really good teams. Based on how things have gone really for the year, I'm going to go with Seattle. I think, again, they've got the defense. Sam Darnold has been up and down, but he has the weapons. So, if he has he needs to have a good game. It is on the road. San Francisco is not the team they've been in the past, but they have really rallied and been good. I think if Seattle is going to make a run, then they need to win the division. I think I think if they lose this game, it may be a little hard to recover. And I think Seattle being the number one seed, that would be a good thing. Everything from there. So I think with the defense and everything involved. Now again, San Francisco, has got the coach. I've not been like you have been, not been real big on Purdy, but boy, he had a good game here recently. So you just don't know. They do have weapons. Basically, you've got to try to contain McCaffrey. And if you can do that, then, they don't have as much of some of the other, even though our old Tennessee boy Jennings shows up pretty good every now and then. So I will pick Seattle in this one and think they'll get the number one seed going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you that I think Seattle needs this. San Francisco, if they lose, they'll be the 6th seed probably and having to play more than likely Philadelphia. I don't think it matters as much for San Francisco as it does Seattle. Seattle needs to be home. They need to be – the 1 seed would be great for them. They need to be a home team, though, in order for them to make a run here in the playoffs. So Seattle is in desperate need of this one. That being said, they're not at home this week. So I'm going to go San Francisco in this one. I've been on the Sam Darnold bandwagon. The Seattle defense has been great, but for me, I'm going San Francisco this week. I think they win, and they make a boost here in the playoffs, which really scares me for Seattle in the playoffs if they do lose. But I just in San Francisco, I'm going San Francisco this week. All right, then that brings us down to another division battle. The Ravens at the Steelers. The Ravens just ran all over Green Bay. No problem whatsoever. Now they travel to Pittsburgh in a division game that is make or break. It's for the playoffs, win or go home. You're playing against Aaron Rodgers, who is not the old Aaron Rodgers, but he's also not last year's Aaron Rodgers either. All kinds of experience going into this game. Ravens on the road are 3.5 point favorites And the only thing that makes me think this happens this way is because last week they remembered they're really good at running the football, and maybe the coaches woke up a little bit to say, maybe we should run the football. So, Dad, Ravens at Steelers. Who do you have in the AFC North battle?
This was really, really hard one to pick because both teams, have struggled some. But again, I'll go kind of with a gut feeling here and go with Pittsburgh at home.
Okay.
I think they're at home. Again, they're going to have to control the run. Derrick Henry, had his way last week, but Green Bay didn't do a lot to slow him up. Pittsburgh, it'll be different, and being a home game and a chance to win the division. This one could go either way, no doubt about it. I don't have a problem at all with Baltimore, but I'd have to pick Pittsburgh in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dad. I didn't think that you would pick Pittsburgh, to be completely honest with you. I figured you'd be going the other direction. I am going Pittsburgh also at home. I trust Rodgers in this situation. I trust Tomlin in this situation. TJ Watt, DK Metcalf's back. There's enough pieces in Pittsburgh. I just trust the experience there. And I know. John Harbaugh, Super Bowl winning coach. Lamar Jackson, MVP. Derrick Henry, phenomenal. I get all of that too. There's just something about this Baltimore team that's been off all season, and maybe they figured it out. Maybe last week did what it needed to do for them, but I need to see it again this week for me to trust it. So I'm going to go Pittsburgh this week as well in this game. All right, then one more game with playoff implications that we're picking. It's the Saints at the Falcons. Now, again, neither of these teams can make the playoffs, but if the Saints beat the Falcons and Tampa Bay beats Carolina, Tampa Bay's in the playoffs. But if the Falcons win this game and Tampa wins, they still don't make it in the playoffs. So they need the Saints to win this week, Tampa does, to assist them in making the playoffs. So, Dad, Saints, they've been playing some really good football as of late. The Falcons, kind of like what we talked about with Carolina and Tampa, you just don't know what you're going to get every single week. Well, this week, the Falcons are 3.5-point favorites at home against New Orleans. Are you going Saints or Falcons this week?
Well, again, this was kind of a difficult one. I'm glad New Orleans has kind of rallied here, but I'm going to go with the Falcons at home. They've played better. The quarterback switch has helped them. Some of their players that needed to play better have, and they've got the running back you've got to deal with from there. The win won't really help them a lot outside of momentum, maybe for next year or going in to the off season. But being it's at home, I think the crowd will be behind them now with the last couple big wins they've gotten. So, I would want to pick New Orleans, but I'm going to go with the Falcons, the Dirty Birds.
Yeah, I'm going to go New Orleans in this one, Dad. Same thing as Baltimore for me with Atlanta. Different spectrums, but still. Atlanta, something's been off all season long. It's been quarterback mainly, but they've had their issues throughout the year. New Orleans is playing so good. They don't need, they don't care about their draft pick right now about as far as where they're picking. Neither does Atlanta, because Atlanta doesn't have a first-round pick. But I like New Orleans and what they're doing right now. So they are injured. They are beat up. So they should not win this game, but I'm still picking them. Give me New Orleans over Atlanta in this one. All right, then 2 draft pick games that we're going to pick this week, Dad. Cowboys at Giants. The Giants currently sit at the number 2 overall pick. If the Raiders win and the Giants lose, the Giants could end up with the number 1 overall pick. If the Giants win, they could get pushed down a couple of picks. So, Dad, Cowboys at Giants. The Giants don't want to lose to the Cowboys. The Cowboys don't want to lose to the Giants. But at the end of the day, all that's at stake here is draft picks. So, Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites on the road in New York. Are you going Cowboys or Giants this week?
Well, I'm going to go with the Giants. Again, it probably makes more sense for them to lose, but they're not going to want to lose, like you said, to Dallas. They've been playing, a little bit better in some ways. So we will see. I'll just go with the Giants over over the Cowboys on this one.
Yeah, I'll go Dallas. I don't think the Giants have motivation to lose necessarily. Being number 2 in a draft where the quarterback's going number 1 means you get your top pick of players there, or even being the number 1 overall pick, you're going to get a haul for draft picks and things like that. So there is a little bit there, but I don't see the Giants throwing this game. That being said, the Cowboys are just a better team, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys in this one over the Giants. And then that brings us down to the ultimate tank of a game. Kansas City at Las Vegas. The Chiefs are with QB3 right now. The Raiders need to lose to secure the number 1 overall draft pick, which could land them the quarterback of the future as well. The Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites on the road in Las Vegas. If this was a regular season game that didn't have a draft implication, there is no way that Kansas City's a 5.5-point favorite with their 3rd string quarterback. That being said, that's how it looks, Dad. Do you think the Raiders flush this one, or do you think maybe they pull off an amazing win, maybe a la Lovie Smith and the Houston Texans a few years ago? Who wins Chiefs Raiders?
Well, this is sad that this game's the way it is, because the Raiders and the Chiefs are quite the rivals in a whole lot of ways, but all that's going to be set aside for this. I looked at it and I understand why we're picking this game. I thought why. Las Vegas, the Raiders have just been outspoken about wanting to get the first pick.
Yeah.
Having Crosby go out. So I'll go with the Chiefs in this one. Something down deep, the Chiefs, have to want to beat the Raiders, and there's no value in them losing. So I'll pick Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm the same way. The Raiders have been so obvious that they want to lose this football game. I don't see how in the world they win it. I mean, I think the coaching staff will be pulling guys that are playing well. It's just not going to happen. Give me Kansas City this week. Although Kansas City, I mean, again, I think Las Vegas is the better team in this game, but nonetheless, I think Kansas City wins this one. All right, let's go to our survivor pick. This will be the last week we do this. All season long, we've been giving you survivor pool picks all the way through the year. Now, typically in a survivor pool, you're not allowed to be wrong ever. Sometimes people have a way to buy back in, or one mistake or whatever it may be. Last week I had Tampa. That was my 2nd wrong pick of the season, and that was a real bummer. But nonetheless, we're down to this one, Dad. Last pick of the year. I'm going with the team we already talked about. I'm going to go with the Cowboys this week as my survivor pool pick. I just think they beat New York, and I'm pretty slim pickings this week on who I have left available. So I'm going to go Dallas over New York as my survivor pool pick. By the way, survivor pool picks are presented by Righteous Felon Jerky's Soul Survivor flavor. It's a Korean barbecue flavor. You can find it at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code STOVE15 to get 15% off your purchase. All right, Dad, who are you picking for your survivor pick in week 18?
Yeah, I lost mine last week too, so I've lost 5. This one was really, I looked at it, I had 3 possibilities based on people that I haven't used. 2 of them I have not picked to win the game. So I thought, well, I guess I need to go with the team. So I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons as my survivor pick on this one. It came down to New Orleans, Baltimore, and Atlanta. And so I didn't like any of them, but we'll go with Atlanta. and hopefully the Falcons will help me fly out on a high note.
Yeah, good luck with that. All right. Falcons are your pick. Cowboys are mine. That's our Soul Survivor, Righteous Felon Soul Survivor pick of the week this week. All right, Dad, let's quickly run through other games that might matter or might not. Probably not really. Packers at Vikings. Packers are sitting a whole bunch of people. Clayton Thune against J.J. McCarthy this week. To me, there's just not much there to watch. I mean, the Packers, if they win, good for them. They're still the 7th seed. Vikings, if they win, well, they beat the Packers, backups. It just doesn't matter. Justin Jefferson, I think, is the intriguing watch here this week in Minnesota. Things have not gone well for them this year. Any thoughts on Packers, Vikings?
No, again, like I said, with the Packers sitting, everyone wanting to stay healthy. I mean, I'll be interested. I won't be able to see it where I'm at, but I'll be interested to keep up with it just because I keep up with all the Packer players, even the practice squad guys. And it's going to be interesting to see how a couple guys do. And our new cornerback that we got from the Cowboys, he's supposed to play. And we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Vikings 9.5-point favorites this week against Green Bay. Browns and Bengals. It's the Joe Flacco Bowl. Week 1, Joe Flacco started for the Browns. Now week 18, he backs up the Bengals quarterback, Joe Burrow. Cincinnati 7.5-point favorites. Again, I think the Browns need to lose this one. Draft pick wise, makes sense for them to lose this one. Not a whole lot there to play for other than pride. For either team, really, at the end of the day. Colts, Texans. Texans are 10-point favorites. Here, Riley Leonard's the quarterback in Indianapolis this week. But again, Houston, not a lot to play for this week either. Titans, Jaguars. Jaguars need to win that one just because. Titans made some front office changes this week, announcing they're going back to a traditional front office with a general manager and all that good stuff. There, I don't think that impacts the game though on Sunday versus the Jaguars. Cardinals at Rams. Rams 8.5-point favorite in that one, but again, no implication. Chargers Broncos, Dad. Chargers are not playing everybody. Broncos then are playing for the number 1 seed, and it looks like the Chargers are just going to hand it to them. Are you surprised by that? And do you agree with that from Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers?
I don't think I would necessarily agree with it, but I guess I see what they're doing. I mean, Denver would be great for them to get the number 1 pick, and I know there has been some injury stuff with the Chargers, so I guess they want to be healthy for the playoffs. I'm a little surprised by that, but once again, that coach never surprises me.
The Patriots are the other team vying for that 1 seed. They play the Dolphins. They host the Dolphins and Quinn Ewers, who had a big win last week. But New England 11.5-point favorites. They're at 325. They're both at 325, Broncos and Patriots. So they're going to have to come out and play. We'll see how that one shakes down there. If we get a surprise in Denver, then I don't see New England losing there either. Commanders and Eagles. Eagles are playing for the 3 seed or possibly the 2 seed, depending on how things shake out. Bears and Lions. That's probably the other interesting one, Dad. Lions at Bears. Bears are trying to hold on to that 2 seed, which I really hope they do. As a Packer fan, I really want to see Chicago in the playoffs. So, Dad, what do you think about Detroit and Chicago facing off at one of these other important afternoon games on Sunday?
Well, I think it'd be interesting. It would have been more interesting if we could have won last week, but I don't see the line. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the Lions play. Their coach is, he's going to be all in and ready to go. Will the players be that way? I would think they would be. Yeah. You don't want the Bears to beat you, and it's at home. So I would think they'll be ready to play, and we will see. The Bears getting the number 2 seed. The Eagles aren't playing everybody either, I don't believe, are they? I've heard their quarterback's not playing, or
Really?
has that changed?
I
So,
hadn't heard that, but that's not to say it's not true.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I have no idea. I'd not heard that. Yeah, you're right. Tanner McKee gets the start in week 18. Very, very interesting for sure. Very, very interesting. All right. Well, there you go. And then Buffalo plays the Jets, but again, that game doesn't really matter at all there. All right. Let's go on now to anything NFL oriented you want to discuss. Diggs, like you said, signed with Green Bay or got claimed by Green Bay, which they had to do. They don't have any depth at cornerback right now. I love the move. I'm happy about it. Your thoughts on Diggs to Green Bay?
Yeah, no, I think we've discussed everything with the NFL stuff, and we'll see how it goes next week. It'll be interesting once we see, exactly who's playing who and when the games are.
What do you think about Troy Aikman helping the Dolphins find a new general manager? They're bringing in Troy Aikman to be the consultant as they search for their new general manager. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I had to scratch my head and think, why are we asking Troy Aikman about the general manager? The only thing I can think of there is there's somebody that they're interested in getting that Aikman has a lot of sway with. That's the only thing that makes a whole lot of sense there. Maybe there's somebody that they're interested in, that his involvement is going to help them get somebody that they want. Otherwise, I don't know why Troy Aikman is, obviously, yeah, he knows GMs and, being in what he's been in an announcer, he's around all the teams all the time, but there's a lot of guys like that. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is. All right. Speaking of Miami, let's transition over. Oh, actually, before we go to the college football world, there are some coaches on the hot seat this week in the NFL. Some have already been fired. John Harbaugh, excuse me, if he loses to Pittsburgh, he could be out. Mike McDaniel in Miami, he could be out. I'm not sure. I don't know there's going to be any other major ones. Atlanta, Raheem Morris, he could be out as well. Is there anything that makes you think? Let's talk about Harbaugh specifically. If Harbaugh loses to the Steelers, do you think he gets fired, or do you think Baltimore continues on with him next year?
Well, I think I'm sure the decision in some way has been made whether they think they need a change or not. Obviously, if they win and get into playoffs, then it's not going to happen right after that. But I don't know. Harbaugh's a good coach. They've got some talent there. Definitely have underachieved. Of course, their quarterback hasn't been healthy. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if Harbaugh gets fired. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep him for another year. So, I don't think that's a guarantee. Now, again, if they go into Pittsburgh and lay an egg,
yeah,
that would be a different story.
I think the other one's Todd Bowles in Tampa. If Tampa misses the playoffs, maybe even if they make the playoffs, I think we could see a change in Tampa this year as well. So, some interesting things to watch. All right, college football playoffs. We had some doozies. We had some real doozies this week. All right, let's talk about it. Dad, you live in Ohio. I'm not sure if you heard or not, but Ohio lost in the college football playoffs to the University of Miami. Dad, how are things up in Ohio these days after that game against Miami?
Well, I haven't heard a whole lot, except from fans. I think everybody is a little shocked from there. Again, they've had a good year. They did lose, the Big Ten championship, but they won the game they needed to win, and so I don't think there's any changes in store here right now.
Right.
From there, I think the whole playoffs. When you look at the four teams that are left, those are not the four teams we would have, not the ones I would have picked from there. But I think this is why it's good to have an expanded playoff.
Yeah.
You don't pick just four teams and say these are the four best or whatever. You give teams a chance, um, you know, to come up and surprise because they're all good teams. The four that are left, there's nobody that's a bad team. There's nobody that has a bad record.
Right.
I don't believe there's anybody that even has a bad loss in their losses from there for the most part. So we will, we'll see how it goes. So I think it'll be interesting playoffs. Still a little bit for me to wrap my head around who's in it, but I think it'll come next week it'll be exciting.
Yeah, I believe Indiana is the first team to win that had a bye in the college football playoffs. So what you've learned throughout these last two seasons or three, that you do not want the bye in the college football playoffs. Indiana, I believe, the only team with the bye to win since the playoffs have had that bye week. So Miami surprise. Listen, I said it on Twitter. I have been anti-Miami all year. I didn't think they should make the playoffs. I've been so down on them. I was wrong, man. They've played well here. They lost their games early in the year, and they came out and they did what they needed to do here in the playoffs so far, and they beat a really good team in Ohio State. So congrats to them. Indiana dominates Alabama. Oregon dominates Texas Tech, and they'll get to see each other soon. Ole Miss squeaks out the win over Georgia last night, and the Ole Miss situation is so weird. They've got their coach for next year, and I'm sure his recruiting just got a whole lot easier. But, Dad, the whole Lane Kiffin stuff has just been a cloud over Ole Miss. They come out and beat Georgia the way they did. So impressive for Ole Miss right now.
Yeah, it really is. Obviously, they've had a good team all year, but yeah, for them to come back and beat Georgia there, like we've talked on this show before, Lane Kiffin is Lane Kiffin, but this really makes you look bad. I need to go somewhere where I've got a better chance to win a national championship, and his team without their head coach is, at least in the semifinals here from there. It's money and everybody knows that. And, Lane Kiffin is Lane Kiffin. I think this, LSU, like we talked, I think last week or the week before, he's not going to be there forever either. So, we will see. But Ole Miss, this really rallies them. I think I saw today, I didn't really read the article. The assistant coaches are in a little bit of flux here with Ole Miss winning, are they going to stay there, or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of a mess, but Ole Miss is laughing all the way to the bank right now. So,
yeah, that's the deal is you got these assistant coaches that Lane Kiffin's like, well, you can go back and coach because you'll be back next week. And then they've won two straight. And now they're one away from the national championship game as well. So what a weird way to do it. All right. So Ole Miss is going to be playing Miami. That's at the Fiesta Bowl, the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, Miami and Ole Miss. Dad, how do you feel about that game? Miami and Ole Miss right now. Miami is a 3.5-point favorite in this game.
I think you'll have to me. I'll have to go with momentum. It's not my favorite team, but I think Miami will win this. Miami has been rolling, over people here, and their defense is playing well. They're holding people there. I'm old enough to remember the dominant Miami teams, and every now and then you're watching one of their games and you're saying, "Wow, this is Miami playing again." From there. So, I'm all for Ole Miss winning and the SEC and everything there, but I think with momentum, the way they've been playing, it'd be hard to pick against Miami.
Yeah, the way I look at it is kind of what you talked about. The drama at Ole Miss is only going to get worse throughout this week preparing for this game. We're going to learn a lot about Golding here, the coach at Ole Miss, with how this game goes. If he's able to rein everybody in for another week, that'll be so impressive. But I'm going to go Miami. I'm picking Miami also this week against Ole Miss. All right, Dad, then it's Oregon and Indiana. This is the Peach Bowl this year, and this is now sponsored by Chick-fil-A. So the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Oregon and Indiana, hot teams right now. The number one draft pick, it seems like, in Mendoza. Kurt Signetti has been phenomenal, and Indiana has looked like the number one team in the nation. Are you going with Oregon or Indiana in the Peach Bowl?
I'm going to go with Indiana. They just look so solid. Oregon is not a slouch. They have shown that they've got players, but the Indiana coach seems to have them right where they need to be, and they'll be ready to play. And so we will see. It's interesting the way they line these bowls up for playoffs, because you got in Indiana and Oregon, but I'm gonna go with Indiana, but Oregon's played awfully well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Indiana too. I think both quarterbacks are good. Mendoza seems to have that QB1 moxie, that leadership, thing about him. Signetti's obviously a great coach. Dan Lanning is a really good coach too. Dante Moore is a really good quarterback also. I'm going to go with Indiana in this one as well. So we're both predicting Indiana and Miami to win. Championship will be Monday, January the 19th. We'll discuss that more down the road with things to come. All right, Dad, anything else college football related or otherwise related that you want to discuss?
No, like you said, it'll be keep up the next couple days, try to keep up with the portal and see where everybody's going. Pure madness there, but we will see. But no, I think the playoffs are good, and I think the way it shook out this year shows that. And I think expanding it a little more would even be better.
Yes, I would not be against it. That's for sure. The transfer portal is open, and we've got bukus of friends in the portal right now. And we'll keep up on that. We'll discuss that more down the road. Our friend Maddox Marcellus back in the portal. See where he ends up going. Lots of other guys as well. Jeremiah Bailey from EKU. He's in the portal. I'm intrigued to see what offers he gets, where he ends up going. Is going to be a lot of fun. And once Jeremiah makes his pick, he is going to come and join us to talk about the transfer portal and why he chose who he chose at the very, very least right now. So we're looking forward to that down the road too. Make sure you follow us on social media at Sports Stove. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Follow wherever you're listening on the podcast. And don't forget to visit our sponsors, Righteous Felon Jerky. You can find all their jerky, their beef sticks, and all of the other things they have at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code STOVE15 when you check out, and that will get you a 15% off discount. All right, that's it for the Sports Stove Football Show today. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you around the Sports Stove.